June 12, 1944. 2,200 hours. RAF Tangmere, Sussex. The briefing room reeks of cigarette smoke and stale coffee, the air thick with the hum of fluorescent lights flickering overhead. Wing Commander Roland Beamont leans back in his chair, his flight suit still zipped halfway, sweat stains from the day's sorties darkening the fabric. He's just come off a sweep over Normandy, engines still cooling on the tarmac outside. Around the scarred wooden table, a cluster of RAF aces, hardened men with eyes like hawks, pore over the latest intelligence dispatch, their faces illuminated by the dim glow of a projector casting shadows on maps pinned to the wall. Beamont snorts, crumpling the flimsy paper in his fist. "Bloody rubbish," he mutters, his voice cutting through the murmurs like a propeller's whine. The report whispers of something called the V-2, a Nazi wonder weapon, a rocket that screams through the stratosphere at speeds no fighter could touch. Launched from hidden sites in occupied Europe, it supposedly arcs silently into the heavens before plunging back to Earth with the force of a 1,000-pound bomb. No engine roar, no vapor trail, no chance to scramble. Just death from above, unannounced and unstoppable. The room erupts in chuckles. Squadron leader Johnny Johnson, his mustache twitching, slaps the table. "Hitler's got fairy tales now, has he? A missile that outruns our Spits? I'd like to see the Jerry bastard try." You can almost hear the collective eye roll, feel the camaraderie laced with exhaustion. These are the kings of the air, victors of the Battle of Britain, men who've danced with Messerschmitts at 30,000 feet and lived to toast it. Beamont, the unflappable test pilot turned ace, with his record of downing Focke-Wulfs and his unflinching gaze, embodies their skepticism. He's flown the latest Typhoons, pushed them to the brink over the Channel, and nothing, not the Luftwaffe's jets, not the V-1 buzz bombs they've been swatting like flies, has shaken his faith in Allied air supremacy. But let's pull back the curtain on this moment. The whispers started months earlier, trickling in from shadowy sources. Polish resistance fighters spotting massive concrete bunkers in the Pas-de-Calais, Allied reconnaissance photos showing scarred launch pads at Peenemünde on the Baltic coast. British intelligence, piecing together fragments from ultra-intercepts and agent reports, painted a picture of Wernher von Braun's brainchild, a liquid-fuel behemoth, 46 feet tall, propelled by alcohol and liquid oxygen, capable of hurling a 1-ton warhead over 200 miles. The V-1s were bad enough, those doodlebugs droning over London like mechanical hornets, but at least you could hear them coming, tip them with a wing nudge from a Tempest or Mosquito. Beamont waves it off, lighting another cigarette. "Desperate fiction from a crumbling Reich," he declares, his words met with nods and raised glasses. "If it flies, we'll shoot it down. Simple as that." The pilots lean into stories of their own triumphs, Beamont recounting his latest kill, a Ju-88 bomber shredded over Cannes, the flames blooming like a deadly flower in the dusk sky. The tension eases into banter, the room alive with the scent of victory. These men rule the heavens. The ground war is Montgomery's problem, the sea Churchill's. Up there, in the blue expanse, speed and skill are their armor. Yet, beneath the bravado, a sliver of unease stirs. What if the Nazis, cornered like rats in Berlin, have conjured something beyond the Spitfires' grasp? Beamont pushes the thought aside, focusing on the map's red lines marking D-Day beaches. The invasion is underway. The end feels near. But intelligence officers, faces grim, warn of anomalies, unexplained explosions in Sweden, test firings gone astray. "It's real," one murmurs, but the pilots drown him out with jests. "Next you'll tell us they've got death rays from Mars." As the meeting adjourns, Beamont steps into the cool night air, the distant rumble of artillery from across the Channel echoing like thunder. Stars wheel overhead, indifferent. He climbs into his quarters, the weight of command settling like fog. Sleep comes fitful, dreams of pursuits where the quarry vanishes into the void. Little does he know, in the hidden labs of middlework, slaves toil under SS whips to assemble the very monsters he's dismissed. The V-2s wait, fueled and primed, their trajectories plotted for London. The mockery lingers in the air like smoke. But how long can laughter shield against the unknown? What happens when the sky betrays you? September 8, 1944. 1843 hours. Chiswick, West London. The evening is ordinary. Children kicking a ball in the street, housewives drawing blackout curtains, the distant murmur of traffic along the Great West Road. A milk float rattles past number 16, Staveley Road, bottles clinking softly. Overhead, the sky is clear, the sun low and golden, painting long shadows across red brick terraces. No air raid siren wails. No searchlights stab the dusk. No growl of bombers. Just the quiet pulse of a city that has learned, after 5 years, to breathe again. Then the world ends in a heartbeat. A flash brighter than lightning rips open the twilight. No precursor sound, no rising whine, no chance to flinch. The shockwave arrives simultaneously with the light. A thunderclap that flattens windows for blocks, hurls bicycles like toys, tears slate tiles from roofs in a clattering avalanche. Number 16, Staveley Road vanishes. In its place, a crater 20 feet across, edges still glowing, steam rising from pulverized brick and earth. 3 people, Mrs. Ada Harrison, her daughter Barbara, and a neighbor, are erased in an instant. Shrapnel peppers the street like lethal rain. A wrought iron gatepost is driven 6 inches into the opposite wall. You can almost feel the concussion in your chest, the way it squeezes lungs, rattles teeth, leaves ears ringing with a high, endless note. People stagger from doorways, faces white with plaster dust, mouths open in soundless screams. A pram lies overturned 20 yards away, wheels spinning uselessly. The milkman's horse rears, bottles shattering in white sprays across the pavement. Somewhere a child begins to cry, thin and mechanical, the only human sound that pierces the stunned silence. At RAF Biggin Hill, 30 miles southeast, the duty controller frowns at the sudden tremor on the seismograph. A phone rings, Metropolitan Police reporting an explosion in Chiswick. No aircraft reported overhead. No V-1 engine cutout heard. Just impact. The controller reaches for the hotline to Fighter Command. "Another bloody flying bomb?" he asks. The voice on the other end is clipped, urgent. No siren. No trail. "Get the boffins down there now." Word spreads like cordite smoke through the squadrons. Beamont, still at Tangmere, is in the mess nursing a pint when the orderly bursts in. "Sir, London's been hit. Something big." No warning. The room goes still. Glasses pause halfway to lips. Beamont sets his drink down slowly, the casual confidence of June suddenly brittle. He strides to the ops room where a WAAF plots the impact on the big board. Chiswick. Single strike. No precursor noise. The intelligence officer who'd been mocked in June stands quietly in the corner, arms folded, saying nothing. His eyes meet Beamont's. No triumph, only grim recognition. Across southern England, pilots who once laughed at Hitler's fairy tales now stare at teletype strips in disbelief. The V-2 has arrived, not as a rumor, but as physics made murderous. Mach 5 on descent. 50 to 60 miles high at apex. No defending it. You cannot chase a star that falls faster than sound. The Spitfire, the Typhoon, the Mustang, these are weapons of a different war, built to hunt machines that breathe exhaust and leave contrails. This new enemy leaves nothing until the instant it kills. In the hours that follow, reconnaissance mosquitoes race over the channel at treetop height, hunting launch sites. Photos return showing mobile erectors, long, skeletal frames disguised as farm equipment, trundling through northern France and Holland. Peenemünde is quiet now. The real work has moved underground to Middlework, where slave labor assembles the rockets in dripping tunnels lit by bare bulbs. Every 40 minutes, another V-2 ignites in a bloom of orange flame, rises vertically on a pillar of smoke, then tilts southeast toward London. The trajectory is mercilessly precise. Ballistic arc, No guidance correction needed once airborne. The payload, 850 kilograms of amytal, detonates on contact, indifferent to blackout, shelters, or prayers. Back in the mess that night, Beamont lights a cigarette with hands that do not quite steady. The banter is gone. Men speak in low voices, staring into their drinks. 60 miles up, someone mutters. We can't even see the bloody thing. Another pilot, younger, voice cracking, what do we do? Just wait for it to rain on our families. No one answers. The fire crackles in the grate. Outside, the blackout holds, but the darkness feels deeper now, personal, inescapable. The first V-2 has struck without mercy or announcement. London will not sleep easy tonight. And the men who once owned the sky are beginning to understand that something has changed forever. The war has left the air and gone orbital. How do you fight an enemy you cannot see coming? September 9th, 1944. Dawn over southern England. The blackout curtains are still drawn, but sleep has been shallow, fractured by the memory of yesterday's thunder without warning. In Chiswick, rescue teams sift through the smoking crater on Staveley Road. 3 confirmed dead, a mother, her small daughter, a soldier on leave. 22 injured, some pulled from collapsed cellars with broken limbs and shattered glass embedded like shrapnel. The crater itself is a perfect circle of ruin, edges fused by heat no ordinary bomb could generate. Civilians gather at the cordon, faces pale, whispering the same question, what was it? Fighter Command Headquarters at Bentley Priory hums with urgency. Maps now bear new red pins, not for bomber streams or fighter sweeps, but for impact sites. The second V-2 struck Epping 16 seconds after Chiswick, no casualties there, but the pattern is clear. Mobile launchers in the Low Countries, firing at will. Intelligence confirms what the pilots dreaded, launches from the Hague area, mobile Milerwagen erectors hidden in woods, fired then vanished before Allied Jabos can respond. No fixed ramps like the V-1 sites, these are ghosts on wheels. Beamont arrives at the ops room early, eyes bloodshot from a sleepless night. The group captain briefs him quietly, it's confirmed B. Ballistic. Apex altitude 60-odd miles. Terminal velocity Mach 5. Nothing we fly can intercept it in flight. Beamont stares at the trajectory plot, a graceful parabolic curve from Holland to London, innocent on paper, lethal in reality. He asks the question every pilot in the room is thinking, can we hit them on the ground? Before they launch. The answer is grim. Tempest wings have been tasked with armed recce over suspected areas, but the Germans are clever. Launch, displace, camouflage. One pilot from 3 Squadron, returning from a dawn patrol, reports sighting a tall, white shape being lowered in a forest clearing near The Hague. Looked like a bloody telegraph pole with fins, he says. Gone by the time we circled back. The RAF's response shifts from mockery to grim determination. No more jests about fairy tales. Squadrons are retasked. Hawker Tempests and Typhoons, the fastest piston fighters available, prowl the Dutch coast at low level, hunting for the telltale scorch marks of recent launches or the glint of erectors. Spitfire XIVs with Griffin engines climb high for reconnaissance, cameras clicking over suspected sites. But the V-2s keep coming, sporadic at first, then steadier. By mid-September, 2 or 3 a day slam into Greater London. Deptford, Ilford, Croydon, no pattern except randomness, which makes it worse. You never know where the next silent hammer will fall. In the cockpit, the terror is existential. These men, trained to meet danger head-on, deflection shots, G-forces, tracer streams, now face an enemy that doesn't fight back in the air. There's no dogfight, no chance to outturn or outclimb. Just the sudden end of everything if your street is chosen. Beamont, flying a low-level recce himself over northern France, feels the impotence keenly. His Tempest roars at 400 knots, cannon ready, but the launch sites are elusive, camouflaged under netting or moved at night. He returns to base frustrated, the taste of cordite in his mouth from test firing into empty fields. Churchill addresses Parliament on November 10, weeks after the attacks began, finally admitting the rocket campaign. For the last few weeks, he says, voice grave over the wireless, London and southeastern England have been subjected to a new form of attack. The euphemism, flying gas mains, had already taken hold among civilians. Now the truth is out. Morale wavers but doesn't break. Londoners dig deeper shelters, queue for gas masks again, but the absence of sirens gnaws at them. At least with the Blitz or the Doodlebugs, you had warning, time to run, to pray. With the V-2, death arrives supersonic. 1 second you're walking home, the next, oblivion. Back at Tangmere, the pilots gather in the mess under dim lights. The laughter is forced now. A young flight lieutenant, voice low, "My mum's in Stepney." Every time the phone rings. He trails off. Beamont stubs out his cigarette. "We can't stop them falling," he says, "but we can make the bastards pay for launching them." Orders come down. Intensify ground attacks on suspected V-2 support infrastructure, rail yards, fuel depots, convoys moving liquid oxygen. It's indirect, frustrating work, strafing trucks that might carry propellant, bombing bridges that might slow resupply. But it's something. Action against paralysis. Yet every explosion in London reminds them, the sky they once owned is no longer safe. The V-2 doesn't care about ace status or squadron markings. It falls indifferently, a product of German engineering and desperation, claiming bakeries, schools, tube stations with equal cruelty. The siege is invisible, relentless. And as autumn deepens, the rockets keep coming, hundreds more before spring. How long can a city endure death from the stars? How long before the pilots find a way to strike back at the source?